Yo, how's everyone doing today? You guys have a fun St. Patty's Day weekend? Adam, did they celebrate St. Patty's Day down in Costa Rica?
Nah.
Nothing?
No, nothing, man. Nothing down here. I get, well, look, there's gringos all over the world who celebrate it, right? If you're a 20-something gringo, it's celebrated everywhere on earth, right? But no, not that I'm aware of, man.
Man, Chris, you have a good St. Patty's Day weekend?
Yeah, man. Had a pretty good St. Patty's Day weekend. Didn't really do anything St. Patty's related, but it was chill. Made it out to Cali again. Last snow up in the mountains up there. So it was a pretty solid weekend, actually.
Are you a snowboarder or are you a skier?
Snowboard.
Nice, dude. Did you catch any powder out there, dude?
There's a little pow. Just a little bit of pow, man. A little pow.
Where do you like to go? Where do you ski or do you snowboard when you go up there?
I go to Big Bear. It's just like a 3.5-hour drive from Vegas. Nice. And I have a house up there. So I just go up there when it's just like to lay.
Why aren't you taking your boy Jake up there, man? Jake needs to get a little snowboard.
He can pop out, bro, anytime. Jake knows that. What the heck?
Yeah, man. I've been spent literally the last like 3-4 days in my room just nailing down this agent hustle stuff, dude. It's
shit is hard, bro. The tech is hard, dude. It's literally Jake and I were briefly talking before we came on, and it's like part of the promise of like websites back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, was this idea that you could just set a website up and it would just work. It would like work forever. You know, you didn't have to do anything with it, which has obviously been completely destroyed. Like website, you know, if you build websites and shit, you got to maintain them. You got to do all this shit for them. And I think like the agents are at the same point where people think it's going to be like, oh, an agent, it's just like set it and forget it. This thing's going to make me money. Bro, these things is like, it's just, you're going to have to maintain these things literally 24/7, 365. It's like, this is the new future work of humans, is just holding up the robots.
Dude, these DeFi AI terminals that we're building, there's so much that goes into this stuff. Like the community has no idea. My favorite was Adam sent this to me yesterday before I went to bed. There's in our community chat, somebody was like, well, at least they said, I hope when Hustle launches that there's going to be marketing. And then I screenshotted that Hustle was number 11 in mindshare of 1,500 agents. I said, bro, marketing's right now. What do you mean? People are like so disillusioned to this idea of when marketing. It's so
literally the quote is, will marketing come after release? Bro, wow. That was like, dude, wow, man.
They think before we launch it, they were like, can you guys buy Cointelegraph articles? Like, dude, what? That is like the most non-credible way to go about this. And then they even, they go on to say like, well, I hope you guys market anything outside of Twitter. And I was like, bro, literally crypto is Twitter. Like there's really nothing else to market to outside of YouTube, really. Or if you do like Twitch or Spaces, like the entire funnel is Twitter. Like, what am I going to go take this AI agent and go post it on Instagram? Like that's or TikTok. Like it just does not work. But I think people just get confused or disillusioned because there's always this misalignment in incentives between the product users and the token holders of the community. We saw this happen quite drastically with Emblem and Koval, where most of the people who held Koval had never even used Emblem Vault before. So when we started this migration process of Koval to keys, where you actually had to vault the ERC20, all of these Koval holders were so lost with how to use the product. So I think one of our goals should be to ensure that doesn't happen here. Although it's unfortunate because you see it happen just time and time again across all these across all of these different products. Is how do you ensure that the product holders and the token holders have aligned incentives?
Yeah, really hard, man. It really is. It's just difficult. For token holders, I mean, there's just 90% of it's just the number has to go up today. And if it didn't in the last 5 minutes, what have you guys done wrong? And it's like, I mean, or what have you done right? I mean, you see it across all these communities. I mean, just the retardation. It's like, why did number go up? It's like, I don't know which of the 800 factors, macro and micro, just caused the number to go up. Bro, I don't know, man. But literally people will come in, and I'm not just talking about Hustle or Tensor or just everything across all communities. It's retardio, man. It's just what we deal with every day. You just deal with retardio, man.
Retardio. So the overall AI market cap is 5.77 billion. It was down to 4 billion. Like it was in the 4 billion range, like literally a few days ago. So it's got a little bit of a nice bounce somewhere in there. You can see here DeFi AI. I've been using the 7-day, so it just shows like a little bit longer traction. See Hustle here is number 3. Banker has just been absolutely crushing it. They have like literally a mindshare hack going on with SocialFi trading. So I don't know how anyone's going to defeat them unless people just get tired of trying to trade on Twitter, which I guess we'll see, right? Social trends come and go, but is this something that will stay? So they're at 9.17%. You have Hanon at 1.27, and then Hustle's at 1.26. And then there's a massive drop off to Griffin is at 4 with 0.66. Crazy part is you see Tensor's market cap 1.85 million, whereas like Hanon 60 mil, and Banker is 20, and Griffin is down to 35. So I think Angel Hustle's up like 3x from the bottom. It's crazy that it dropped all the way down to 600,000. That seems like literally Looney Tune numbers, like from things trading in billions to going down to 6-figure market cap. Like that's it's quite wild. But we're go ahead.
You can see the top 5 right there. They all have actual products. Every single one of those has an actual product that people can use tangibly. And so in the community, and when people are looking outside and they're saying, we need more marketing, we need to get, these things up and running. Well, first you need a product that you can actually market. And that's what those market caps are telling you, is that they have tangible products. So you can like, speak into the void or run as many campaigns as you want. But if you don't have a real product that the community can use and build off of, then it's just going to fall flat. So having the product is extremely important, obviously, and really difficult, as you can see within the sector. But I mean, just where it is today, it's where Hustle is today compared to all the other ones in terms of market cap to kind of like build out ratio. Something is going on there for sure.
You look at the 3-day of all agents, and Hustle's at number 10, 1.89% mind share. The easiest way that I kind of look at that is just that of 100 tweets, Hustle's getting 2 of them in terms of just overall AI. That's kind of like the moderate way.
Yep.
I'm excited to have this launched on Tuesday. We're going to do a live show into the release. What'd you say?
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. We got Zeneca tomorrow. That's going to be fun. A little bit of a later show. And Thursday, then we'll do, a live stream. We'll go through the tutorial. I felt like we built a pretty good onboarding process, which is what I would say superior to the other ones. The market will kind of decide that. But one of the considerations that we had in place is these AI things are pretty confusing. I want to be completely honest. But also a lot of times is you don't really understand what you can actually do. So we try to handhold users in that way to where this onboarding process is one click and it kind of shows you, what can be done, as well as you can go on and do your other stuff as well. And we'll continue to upgrade it. Shannon's been building some wild stuff on the back end. That's kind of our moat there is Shannon. And then we'll continue to build it, and we'll have some more marketing, I suppose, and we'll continue to continue to grow it. The thing,
we market 24 hours a day,
7
days a week. There's no like, I can't remember the last day we took off from marketing. Like literally marketing is every day, all day. This is literally all we do. Well, no, all I do. And you're doing that plus, fixing bugs in the back end. But it's like, dude, I get a little riled up from that. It's like,
the thing with like crypto marketing is there's kind of like 2 or 3 styles, I guess, and none of them are this traditional one where you pay for an advertisement. Like that just does not work in crypto. I mean, you see this with Mario's show where people are paying $40,000-$50,000 to be on the show. Adam and I go on there regularly as like guests, and these people, they don't like all the projects that are paying Mario to go on there. I don't see any of them on the timeline after that show. It's just like they all fade kind of into irrelevancy. I think the crypto community is really good at as well as kind of looking at who pretenders are, who aren't, and what is this kind of like corporate type structure versus kind of these kind of open, meme coin type stuff. But you have meme marketing, which is probably the most popular version, which has been dominated by the crypto sector, and you start seeing other traditional companies use meme marketing as well. Then you have influencer marketing or KOL marketing, and that has just been completely written off as just pump and dumps now for the most part, like KOL stuff. And then you have this like idea of like momentum based marketing or trend marketing, where it's like you see something pick up, whether it's like a small trend or something like that, and you kind of really just lean into it and start leaning into the marketing, whether it's providing information about this or doing live streams. Like for example, Sammy, I think Sammy's actually like a pretty good example. The AI Sammy, he had done this a lot as he's an educator, but anytime there was like a new trend that he thought was like quite massive, he would hop on and start just posting a lot of threads about it, and he would grow his audience by a few thousand each time. And this last time when he hopped onto the AI wave, I think he grew his account by like 20, 30, 40,000 followers. And it's really just this idea of like momentum based. And that's how you grow your account, is you got to be able to hop onto new trends, but you need to be able to take your skills to it and apply it. And that's, I think, what we do well with Emblem is a trend, kind of like a momentum based product, right? Users need something on demand immediately. And so you go in and, you try to provide those type of skill or those type of services. And that's kind of like the marketing as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best the things that blow up are the ones that can take advantage of that momentum you just talked about. Like Banker obviously is the one. They were, the people who created that token or tricked Grok to tweet it out. They took advantage. They saw something that had happened in the past, and they took advantage of it to get that momentum. And that's why Banker's blown up, right? It's that Grok token using Banker and Clanker to actually launch the token, and they were able to kind of build that narrative. And how long that narrative lasts, if crypto tells us anything, it's probably a couple more weeks of maybe legs if they're really, really good at it. And they've done a great job. Emily has done a great job of like pushing it, and a couple other guys have done a real good job of pushing it. But will it fade? Yeah, definitely. It's just a matter of kind of when. But certainly Bankers, like, you can't fade them. That's like that's like the perfect use case for why I would want to use Banker, right? And so they've done a great job.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all about maintaining relevancy, right? As a startup, if you lose relevancy, you basically die. You're dead on arrival. It's really difficult to come back from that. So not only is it crucial for the marketing, it's crucial for the product, just to be able to pivot and just to continue, reaching out and expanding its kind of reach, and trying different product lines. And I think that's what Emblem's really good at, is always just like putting its hat in the ring, willing to go for it, and just kind of make something happen out of nothing. That's kind of like where our best successes have come from.
Totally, dude. I actually, this is where I'm like, from a marketing perspective, I get super excited about Hustle, because the ability for Hustle to actually like interact with web pages, interact with your computer, like do all this stuff with crypto rails is there, and will only get better over time. And so you see like these kind of trends as they happen, the ability for Hustle to kind of move into those spaces and take advantage of, whether it's a trading activity or a new token or a new kind of, I don't know, airdrop farming or whatever, the ability for Hustle to take advantage of these and be used for them is super exciting, where we as the people who are kind of maintaining Hustle don't have to be the person to like figure this out. It's like the users can figure it out and talk about it on the timeline. And that for me is like just this amazing ability that Hustle's only going to get better at with time. So yeah, super pumped about that, man.
Evens the playing field. I was thinking of all kinds of different strategies yesterday on things that you could do with Hustle specifically. The real fun happens is once we could get conditional based trading working, which I think is the holy grail, because then you can really even the playing field. Like I was thinking like pump fund strategies, like things that these bots do that regular retail can't. Like you can have them, at least this would be like the goal, have him put $1 into, you could do things like, hey, spend $1 on every pump fund token that's launched between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. or something like that, right? And that would be interesting because you can prepare for, potential meme type events, like when Trump speaks or something like that. Yep. So you can kind of have a lot of fun with it as well, but also have these strategies that has been pretty much gated from retail for a while, unless you have this like, developer knowledge, which most of us don't. But
I mean, dude, is there there's zero question that somebody's going to like basically set up Hustle to create tokens based on Elon's tweets or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And there are people already kind of doing this manually, and people have built bots, but this just like people are going to be able to do this. And like, yeah, it's just a matter of when, not if. Like this is going to happen. And that's when you can catch these viral trends, and we don't have to actually create the trend, right? We've just created the infrastructure through Hustle that people can take advantage of. It's fucking going to get awesome, bro.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll be doing some live streams once it's live to kind of test some stuff out. It's going to take a while to build a lot of this stuff, I have to say. But there's maybe 5 to 10 teams in total that seem anything interested. And the market cap to me seems quite large. But one of the trendsetters in the AI space today appeared to be manipulated into sending an account 55 ETH. Apparently, though, the founder, ORXBT on Twitter, said that there was a hacker who actually accessed the dashboard on the back end, queuing 2 malicious replies that led to 55 ETH taken from the Samuel Akuram wallet. Those funds don't affect the core system, but they're reiterating that this was not a result of agent manipulation, as we've been implemented strong safeguards over the last few months. The AI and X account are fine. Now they've had to migrate servers, swap keys, pause the dashboard access, and do all kinds of different types of updates.
Wow.
What's your thoughts here on, attackers looking to find ways to manipulate these AI agents? This is probably, unfortunately, won't be the last time something like this happens. Not for AI XBT, but just in the industry.
I mean, just look at that. They didn't even, whatever, they went after their dashboard. Like, dang, this is, that's like a coordinated attack on them. It's fucking awful. You hate to see it, because this is like every crypto company on earth. Like, this is what can happen. I didn't understand exactly that wallet. So was that one of AIXBT's kind of wallet they don't really control and they were able to access, or I didn't quite understand what that was.
Yeah, I actually don't know as well either. I just saw this like literally 20 minutes before before the show started. Something had happened. I thought it was kind of funny that AIXBT was doing kind of a post synopsis on himself. It was one of his last tweets. AI agent compromised, right? 104K stolen through the dashboard access hack. And he goes on to kind of talk about it. His price has dropped pretty far, right? Now he's all the way down to 70 million. Remember, he was at like almost $1 billion at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Well, I mean, I think it was a real bummer that, AIXBT couldn't partake in the, the Kaido airdrop. I think that was a bummer. You wonder how this team, like, we know this requires, I'm sure they have, probably 4 or 5 devs working on AIXBT to make him better. What's the revenue model for this dude? Right. I don't know. Maybe they have enough of the token where they can just sell into this and they'll have funding and stuff. But all these like AI KOLs, which is how I'd classify AIXBT, right? There's going to be these things like it's a proven model, but how they make money, is not necessarily proven yet. And so, is it a traditional route where they're selling ads and stuff? Certainly AIXBT hasn't done that yet. So what's going to be the revenue model? Is it the native token where they have enough, I don't know, but I know these teams, nobody works for free. And when you have, devs, which are, each of them is $200,000 a year and you're paying $1 million a year in salary, how do you keep these things running? I don't know, man. It's complicated.
So here's the tweet. It looks like it's Fungus Man or some guy. He just put Fungus Man, and then AIXBT tipped him to a Sacrum wallet, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, AIXBT too, they're just kind of a product. They're their own worst enemy, I guess, in a sense that, everyone wanted these chatbots and then they got over the chatbots extremely quickly because there wasn't enough substance there. And even though AIXBT is the best example of that, it's still that nobody likes to see the chatbots on the timeline, because even though AIXBT still has some relevant information sometimes, a lot of it just is like nonsense that it's like spewing all over the timeline. And so, at least for me, I think that humans have some sort of like intuitive kind of hostility towards these kind of bots because they don't know where the information's stemming from. And so I think it just gets written off almost immediately because you don't know how accurate it is. What do you guys think on that?
I think that you're 100% right. I think we still, where we are today and where we are in 2 years, I don't know. And it's very possible though, that these AI agents get so much better that it's basically like,
for sure.
Like right now you see them in your replies, right? And are they exponentially better than the bots were 2 years ago? Like 1,000,000%. But they're almost like too good. They're too philosophical, right? It's a whole paragraph on this or that and asking me what I think and bullshit like that, right? So this is the new one. It's too good, right?
Yeah.
It's like a really interested human. Well, most people on the timeline aren't that interested or interesting, right? So they need to like dumb it down to be like a regular person. And then it's going to be like, well, how do I even know what's a real person anymore? And we're not going to know. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to get crazy. like to think that I mean, it may be now 80% of the shit on Twitter is bot related.
Right.
Fuck, what happens when it's 99%, right? I mean, I don't even know what happens to social media at that point. Don't know.
Dude, speaking of social media, what's your guys' take on this Solana ad thing that happened yesterday?
It's so great, bro. Dude, the take is this, dude. Cringe works on the timeline. Cringe absolutely crushes on the timeline. And the more cringe, whatever it might have been, I was thinking of the the most woke ads, which were like the Jaguar ad, or what was that other one? That the timeline just went ape shit for. That it was so cringe and so bad. That shit works. Like Solana, shame on them for fucking taking it down. Fuck no. They should have leaned into it even more, but whatever, they're stupid. It's fucking dumb. They should have never taken that down.
I definitely agree with that. And I think the message was pretty on point. It's just like we're here to build shit, and we're not here to like have any like opinion on pronouns or anything else of that nature. Just like we just really want to build cool shit. And I know when I was in ETH Denver, I think it was like an actual response exactly to ETH Denver, because just kind of how we felt walking around, how I felt walking around.
Totally, man.
It was just like rainbows and unicorns everywhere. It's like, we don't want rainbows and unicorns. We just want people that are all of us, everyone, to just build cool shit. We don't want to have to bend to like some small minority percentage of the world. We just want everyone just build cool shit and focus on building. So I think the message was good. It obviously fell on deaf ears, but I would never retract that video. I would definitely lean into the memes and just go from there. Totally. The news cycle is so short. It's like 24 hours. Like just hold on for one day, and then for everyone will move on to a different topic today.
I think that was the kind of thing that struck me later on. People started tweeting out old tweets from Solana, and you realize that, oh shit, they're just like, they're moving to whatever's the hot thing of the day, because the hot thing of the day was whatever, Black Lives Matter, right? In 2020. And today it's, anti-woke, right? And you just realize they'll bend. They're the worst. They're like Zuckerberg with Facebook. They'll bend to whatever the market dictates, and people fucking hate that. I hate that, right?
I think that two things can be true, though. I think that at that time, some of those things seemed really accurate and maybe on point. And then maybe in hindsight, they turned out to not be the things that we all thought that they would be. So yeah, I think that it's okay to kind of change your perspective a bit based on new information, which, a lot of those things that we learned since 2020 didn't pan out the way that we had anticipated that they would. And so I think in that time frame, most people probably felt sympathetic to a lot of those ideas. And then 4 years later, I don't think that they're as sympathetic anymore.
Yeah, I thought it was a giant nothing burger, to be honest. I don't know. I watched, excuse me, I just watched it, and I was like, it's another kind of, right, they're trying to go the opposite side now from woke culture to, I guess you call it based culture, I suppose. But I don't know. I've seen much worse. I've seen much worse crypto advertisements.
Totally. One thing that's interesting, though, it's like people always want Ethereum to, like, where's the marketing for Ethereum, right? But not realizing that if the Ethereum Foundation did marketing, they'd have to like pick a side, right? They'd have to pick something, and this is exactly what you're doing. You're picking, right? And so whoever's in charge of the Solana's ad budget, they're going to choose something. And so be careful what you wish for. Like if the Ethereum Foundation, God help us, actually did ads, like they'd have to choose, and it'd probably not be a great choice, so be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to talk about NFTs, bro. NFTs.
So what about them? Are they back? I don't know. I thought they were at zero.
Ethereum had two big mints, right? Ordinals have been kind of popping a little bit with some big sales. We have Taproot Wizards mint at the end of the month, and then saw some decent rare Pepe sales again. But it feels like people are kind of starting to collect again. I feel like I see communities assembling. It just kind of feels like something's a little bit different. What do you guys think?
Do you think people are buying because they're worn out from meme coins and other metas? Are things popping off in these different L2s, or is it something just like the price is lower, so now they can afford this stuff?
probably price being lower and community entrance is kind of like more accessible. And I mean, you had a couple of good mints that can kind of project the entire market. Like, I mean, Good Vibes Club really took over the timeline. Like nothing else has taken over the timeline in a while. And so once something like that happens, it kind of like reinvigorates everyone and kind of gets everyone on the lookout for something new. And so Ordinals, they've had a couple decent mints with the Black Eyes and Taproot Wizards coming up. And then ETH has a couple of good mints. And then, I don't know, you can kind of see this domino, this like early phase of a major trend switch potentially, which we haven't seen in a while.
What is this Good Vibes? I didn't even see this. I
Yeah.
didn't even see this on the timeline. What is this thing?
It was, I saw it pop up, saw some KOLs kind of pushing it. I think it was 0.069 mint to mint them. And then they did a reveal. I mean, you were like, oh, it felt very, like KOL pushed, even though it was like totally open mint. And it was open mint, but it felt like, I saw it early and it definitely had the vibe of like, they clicked in with some KOLs to kind of push it. But like Chris said, runs, everybody likes a runner, and it ran. Then we had the artists, do the masks this week too. And I think that for a lot of people was like, okay, wow, it was whatever. It was expensive. It was like 2 ETH to mint, but whatever. They jumped to 8 ETH, 9 ETH, and people were like, oh, our NFT's back. Like anytime you get number go up, people feel like it's back. Who knows, man? I think NFTs in a lot of ways are like meme coins, where there are these core groups of people on Twitter who this is every cycle now in crypto. We're going to have a new meme coin cycle and a new NFT cycle. Will they ever get to the like retarded, 2021, over the moon pricing? No, but they'll always be like, the ones that are 50K. And then you'll always be on the lookout for like, what's the next new one to mint and do a 10X. It's just here, man.
I hope we go back to NFTs, dude. That was way more fun.
So fun, dude. So fun.
That was way more. I feel like there's a lot bigger variety of things that can be done.
Right. And I'm seeing a lot of just like the lending markets really kind of take off, or that's people, surfacing for liquidity. But those NFTs are going to end up in the hands of new owners if they do default. So there's a lot of high quality punk sales, a lot of just kind of big NFT loans originating all over the place. And then you kind of see these new mints start to pick up, and you're like, all right, well, this might be the start of a bigger trend actually here.
Saw the Gandhi has really been crushing it. The left-facing Pudgy Penguin got a loan today.
Crushing. Yeah, Gandhi's on fire, man.
What's his name? Like Kinky Bugs or something like that. The guy who owns it. Something like that. He originally paid 300 ETH for it. That was two years ago, I think. Just took a origination loan out of 60 ETH for 45 days.
Wow.
So he's probably seems short. I feel like if you're doing it here, you'd probably want like 180 days to go long on ETH. I would suspect that's the thing. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I would assume so. Hopefully it's not that, the market's so bad and he just has to give it up for 60 ETH after the 300 ETH buy. That's tough to watch, but you love to see these things on chain. You love to see just like the story, so he obviously bought it for like 300 ETH, 60 ETH. You're like, damn, that's a pretty solid haircut, but that's just like another day in crypto. So it's just funny how desensitized we get from reality here sometimes.
I think
speaking of Gandhi, I don't know if you guys saw it, but they added CryptoPunk sales to their website, and they've actually been doing like a decent amount of volume. I think it's actually no fees on it as well. Let me see if I can pull it up here, but I did see that some CryptoPunk sales have now started moving over to Gandhi's too.
Very cool. So they're just doing it there so you can just track it in real time, trying to track eyeballs to take loans. It's interesting. I just think in a lot of ways we're just in general, just generally crypto Twitter, like it's just that the veil has been pulled away. Like in 21, there was definitely like a vibe like NFTs are going to be a thing, right? And it's like the world's going to onboard to NFTs. And so there was just what we call like a belief in something. There was a bigger belief in something where you were holding something beyond a flip. And to a degree, I think that's been not degree. I think it's been completely stripped away. And so with any new mint you get today, there's just 98% of us are just not going to believe in it. You know what I mean? And so it's very difficult to get real long-term traction with a new collection just because we've been so jaded and so, beat with a stick because of meme coins. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you just can't, it's almost impossible to get this kind of like true belief in a project where you're going to hold that thing and let that thing ride because you've just been so beat up over the last, few years because of meme coins. I don't know. That's just kind of my feeling. It's just, it's really, to get to that, like a blue chip, this thing is going to kill. There's no way I'm selling this. It feels like, I don't know if that's even possible right now, not with a 10K collection, because everybody's just going to dump. I don't know. That's my feeling. You guys,
I was quite surprised when Ordinal Maxi Biz did their Black Guys or White Eyes Mint, that it actually brought over new community members, like from Solana. It seemed like Solana. Honestly, from what I've seen on the timeline, it seemed like all the DeGods community just completely capitulated and has just moved over to OMB. Because I'm starting to see all the old DeGod people just start to shill OMB consistently. And it seems like early work, ZK kind of, right? He was a friend of Frank for a while. Then they had some sort of like, confliction. He moved over to Bitcoin. It feels like he just pulled the rest of the community over there, kind of as Frank falls on the sword and disappears from the industry. But there is still this issue with Bitcoin ordinals, is that the barrier to entry of creating a collection is so high. It's so tough to do, right? It requires more, sophisticated knowledge of how to do recursive inscriptions, right? You're paying $1 or more per ordinal to etch, so there's a higher cost barrier to this. And then the distribution of it is not as simple as like something like an ETH or Solana NFT, where you can just put a mint button, right, and that you can randomly generate it. You don't have that generative aspect to it, which a lot of people like. They like that gambling of trying to hit the rare. This you see all the artwork, and it was one of my predictions actually going into 2025 is that we were not going to see any new ordinal collections in the top 5. I still think that's going to be the case, even with the Taproot Wizards, right? They're an older collection. Although they're minting at 0.2, they will probably go, 0.4, 0.3, something like that. There's going to be, with that amount of capital they're raising, there's going to be market makers on it. So Quantum Cats, I think, went from 0.09 to like 0.3 pretty quickly when it minted. I think Ordinal Maxi Biz, the first mint as well, was something like that as well. So we'll see. But, outside of Taproot Wizards, I find it hard for any new collections to come in and find success for Ordinals.
Yeah, we'll see. Just, it's just good for the market. Just having another collection doing volume on these marketplaces. And, some funds are going to go to different collections just inevitably. So even just one of these events is actually pretty major and can spark something. So, yeah, I agree. We probably definitely need some more creators on the back of it. But, I mean, it's definitely good for ordinals and kind of probably runes by some sort of degree, I would think.
Abstract NFTs though seem to be taking off. I mean, you look through, right, Magic Eden here, you start going through all the different, L2 ecosystems. Dude, BNB is down horrifically. Look at that. The highest look at the highest 24-hour volume collection of an NFT collection on BNB is 8 BNB. It's like what, $5,000 or something like that. But you look, right, Base seems to be doing okay with swatches. Maybe we'll dive into some of the L2 stuff here in a second. So Base seems to be doing pretty well. Ape Chain is still kind of grinding. And then you have Abstract here. It seems they've done, almost 200 ETH in volume in the last day between all of these different collections. I remember listening to what's his name? That's the founder of Pudgy Penguins. Luca talked when Abstract launched, and he said that they are, they're trying to compete. He said really that in the L2 space, the only competition they have is Base. He basically had said what we've said on the show many times before, that the generalized L2 approach is not the competition, because they become more just tech stacks for people to build these kind of, app chains, right? And so Base is built off of Optimism. I think Abstract is built off of some sort of ZK stack. And right now you have Ape Chain and a few of these others, and they're all competing. And so the issue has been with these L2s is that because the generalized approach is essentially dead, and the generalized L1 blockchain seems to be also kind of fading as well. It's where do you niche down to kind of build a community, right? Abstract started with streaming. They still seem to be leaning into streaming, but I haven't really heard too much about it, to be honest, after that. But from an on-chain kind of transaction standpoint, it seems like NFTs are doing a lot better than fungible tokens. Whereas on something like Base, it seems like the fungible tokens are much more interesting than the NFTs. And Ape Chain, I think, is still figuring out what it is for them, as well as Chain and some of these other ones that are to come.
Man, it's really difficult. Like, you gotta think all of this is worth zero, right? That's the way I look at it. It's like everything is worth zero. These are all these crypto assets, and all these chains are worth nothing. So, and you can launch them at no problem. It's easy to launch this shit. So where is the value going to accrue? Where are people actually going to value something? And it's really difficult. Like, we've had this discussion. Does NFTs, I mean, is all the value on the native chain? Is all on Ethereum? And then, like, how do you, but I could see, like, on Abstract, okay, there's streamers, and somebody comes out with an NFT project that becomes a flex for streamers to kind of rock that NFT. You feel like, okay, that could work. That could be something. But finding that thing, it's really fucking hard. And I mean, especially with a fungible, like, how are you going to get behind any of this stuff with a fungible? The only way is attention. I mean, it's got to be like attention on the timeline. And that's why, like, Solana still works. That's why Pump Fund still works. Because whatever, it's the latest Trump, gets hit in the face with a microphone. Okay, that's a Pump Fund. It's released in 5 seconds, and we can gamble on this for the next hour, right? But everything else, like, all this stuff is basically worthless. How do you bring any value to it? I mean, this is the big question.
Pokemon, well, you look at Polygon, and it's just being saved by Courtyard.
Yeah.
And outside of NFTs, right, you have Polymarket that's on Polygon. So those are kind of the two killer. I'd say Polymarket's the killer application. Courtyard's kind of like the killer collection, killer project. It's an RWA project. You look at some of these other ones. Base is starting to take some market share from Solana for AI kind of capabilities. I don't know if they're going to end up being the winner or not, but Base is leaning into AI really hard as well. But man, Arbitrum is I think still trying to figure out, what it's used for. I think a lot of teams use the Arbitrum tech stack to build applications. They haven't really had a killer one yet. And I still think Ape Chain's still, I think, trying to figure it out. I know they did launch their kind of Emblem competitor called Shadows, where they're going to try to bring different types of collections around. It's kind of an interesting project by OX Quit to see maybe that's the killer use case, or maybe 8chain is purely just for other side, like just for other side assets is maybe what it is. But I think during this bear market, it's probably important to figure out what each chain's for, and to figure out where that advantage is. That's probably where the 1000x is if you're paying attention, and because of this specialization where it's not going to be all in one, and it's probably better.
I mean, I think with Abstract, they've done a good job of saying, well, we're going to be the streaming chain. And whether or not that works out, I mean, it probably won't work out if history tells us anything, but at least it's given them and given creators and, it's given them a direction, and directionally that could work. I think that's the best strategy. The other is just being generalized and, letting people figure it out. And that's the real hard one. But obviously, like Polygon magically has had a couple build on top of it. Maybe that's just because it was kind of early. Who knows? I don't know. Ape Chain, God knows, man. Is other side even happening? When's the other side metaverse gonna happen, bro? I don't know, man.
All these different L2 ecosystems, all of these different, you'd say like L2s, right? For Ethereum, for Bitcoin, it's kind of these chain abstracted applications. We had Bob on a week ago, right? Talking about Odin Fund, that they have to kind of build out this entire ecosystem. Taproot Wizards invested and is leading the round for Odin Fund. Chris, what's your take on that? Do you think this is something that Taproot Wizards is trying to kind of hedge their bet in case OpCat doesn't happen, that they can kind of have their foot into everything? Or what's your take on, the proliferation, I guess, of chain abstracted Bitcoin applications leading through with Odin Fund?
Yeah, I mean, they're shooting their shot. The Runes ecosystem is pretty hard over there. There's not too many new users coming in. And so it's really based on just Magic Eden. And so Odin Fund has a shot at upending them a little bit, and it looks like they're going to take it. As far as like Udi, Taproot Wizards, they're really kind of playing this like fatherly role in the ecosystem of trying to push OpCat, trying to, they pushed Taproot obviously pretty early on. And so they were kind of really pioneering a lot of these meta protocols and these changes within the ecosystem. And so it only makes sense for them to kind of invest in the ecosystem if they see something interesting popping up, right? They're already kind of playing that kind of guardian role. And then now they're like angel investing, and then obviously just investing in the actual rounds as well. So I think it totally makes sense for them. I mean, if you look at the biggest kind of companies in crypto, it's always been the exchanges and then the investment funds. And so I think that they've taken note of that, and they're in a position to get some solid deal flow from pretty much anyone in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So I don't see why they wouldn't take it. It's pretty bullish.
Took a massive L on that AI XPT buy, that $1 million AI XPT buy. If that was a real one or not, I have no idea, to be honest. Could have been trolling. Yeah, Adam, do you think that now that there's some downtime, that this kind of application layer of Bitcoin is going to find some success now? I mean, there's, just to give some examples, you have L2s, which we saw last year, right? This is kind of what the Bitcoin L2s, I guess the emergence of Bitcoin L2s is really what brought in the new capital dollars, right? There was so much funding for all these different L2 type projects, and they all kind of differ, right? You had Merlin, who did like an EVM one. Obviously, you have Stacks that's built in Clarity that they've done on their own. You have even Fractal, which is like a UTXO base, right? But realistically, they're all side chains. But now getting into the next level, it seems like most people are not as much interested in L2s. Maybe they're more interested in these applications that use chain abstraction because maybe it's a little bit easier to get in and out of, or maybe it's just kind of a new opportunity for VC dollars to come in and start flooding the market. We just saw Own Fund on ICP, Rune Mine just launched their own token, and they're launching something called Rune Shot, which is like a competitor, but they use Near. Obviously, you have Arch Network that's coming online as well, right? They have Funky Bits, right? So 3 different pump fund competitors, all using something completely different. What's your thought on this emergence of the sector?
Bro, it's gonna be a fucking bloodbath. That's my all this shit, bro. It's fucking bloodbath. In a year or 2 years, when all these L2s on Bitcoin or whatever go belly up, it's not gonna work. There can't be. It's just gonna be it's just so difficult to build the thing that people want to use. It's so difficult that I just see blood in the water, man. I just think it's gonna get really, really bloody. just because most of it's going to fade away, man. It's just going to fade away. It's not going to be used. You know, the best teams, like I just said with Polygon, are creating an environment, or with Abstract, for something to work. What that thing is, I don't know. Is it just going to be another meme coin platform, or is it going to be an NFT platform? Like, it just don't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. Like, those are going to be the winners. Like, it just feels like something new has to come, or something different, or something significantly better. And we've talked about that with runes. Like, maybe it's utility tokens, maybe it's something like that. It becomes a better platform for launching ICOs on Bitcoin, right? Something like that, where it's just significantly better. And if not, then it's just, if you have enough funding, you become rootstock and you fucking become invisible in the background, or you die, or you hit a home run and you become, you know, the pump fund of Solana, but on Bitcoin, right? Yeah, we'll see, man. But I think it's going to get bloody, very, very bloody.
Very, very bloody. We'll see.
Is that too negative?
I mean, there's not much liquidity in the runes market. Something has to give to make it more efficient. I think the community's basically said that runes is going to be the standard, whether the entire thing fails, right, or not. I don't see anybody shifting to a new standard anytime soon. Maybe Taproot Wizards is hedging because they realize that many users, most users won't use their own fungible token standard, whatever they called it, catnip or something like that, is possible. But everyone's runes bags are way too heavy. You now have Magic Internet money that's moved over as well, right? Which kind of cements the meme layer. And I don't think people will go through another migration there. So someone can crack the code and figure out this $1 billion opportunity, or it just actually takes a lot longer to build, which is probably the case, right? Instead of seeing things on Solana and Ethereum, you know, grow within a year or two, right? The meme coin space on Solana really took off and literally hit an international and global relevance within a year and a half or 2 years. Maybe for Bitcoin, it takes 5 years for the fungible token layer standard to build out because of all the different complexities to it. Do most people have patience for that? Probably not.
No, but they'll be here. Look, Bitcoin's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And how long did it take for, you know, Pump Fund to work on Solana? How long did it take, frankly, for OpenSea to work on Ethereum, right? It's like, we had an NFT cycle before, didn't really work, but then OpenSea was perfectly positioned for it to take place in 21, right? It's like, shit takes time. And, you know, so I'm sure there will be a huge winner on Bitcoin at some point. But it's not, dude, I just, you know, what are the odds that it's going to be an NFT marketplace, or, I mean, a meme coin launchpad? Is it likely going to be that? Probably not. It's history tells us anything. It's probably going to be something that was tried previously, didn't really work out, and now it's perfectly timed. Maybe it's a social network, you know, or a social layer on Bitcoin, something like that, which people have tried a bunch, failed a bunch, and now it's perfectly positioned on Bitcoin because it's this hardened layer where you get the social fi there that it's hardened on Bitcoin. Maybe it's something like that.
It's usually something new.
Yeah.
Chris, I'll call on you here in a second. I mean, if you just look at like last cycle, the 3 or 4 killer applications that popped up, right? You had prediction markets on Polygon. They had been around for 4 or 5 years at that point. Pump Fund is a launch pad, but they basically took a bonding curve and added it to it, plus a few other things. Like, there had been literally hundreds of launch pads that had come before kind of Pump Fund. And then Courtyard is an RWA platform. It's really kind of, I would say, the most successful NFT-based RWA platform. Obviously, you have BlackRock that's doing tokenized money markets, but that's kind of more in the fungible realm. And, you know, I guess you would say ordinals, but, you know, NFT standards had been around for a while. It was not anything new, so just giving it credibility. But yeah, I agree. Is a pump fund competitor likely the killer application on Bitcoin? Probably not. To me, it usually says it's going to be something new that then, when it happens on Bitcoin, then it'll try to be replicated everywhere else. But this is just like how tech works. Is like whoever the winner is just going to command the majority of the volume, and you try to replicate it in other areas, but it just never will be as big as that the initial kind of established protocol.
Yeah, I kind of have a different take. I think, I look at these as like public goods, and I think that every chain is going to have a breakout app like that, or a breakout, and it's kind of like building a town, like a town from scratch. You set up your bank, you set up maybe your mortgage office, you set up your for a chain, you set up your coin producer, something like Pump Fund that allows everyone to launch coins per chain. I just think that that's like a public good, and so even if it's not the killer app of Bitcoin, I still think that the category on Bitcoin is still massive for whoever wins that, application of being the coin producer for the chain, whether that's Funky Bits, whether that's Odin Fun on Bitcoin, I'm not sure, but that will exist, right? In my opinion. And so I think even just going for that category alone and knowing that it might not be the killer app for Bitcoin is still like a massive category killer, in my opinion. And then, I've been in crypto for a long time. It just, this is probably like the worst sentiment I've ever seen across every single category ever. AI got smacked. NFTs got smacked. Bitcoin ecosystem got smacked. Ethereum is potentially dead. Solana obviously can't catch a break in the last couple of months with the Hayden Adams, Malay, Trump, Melania, and now this new video. It's just like the entire ecosystem got smacked. But I think that you guys would agree that in this industry, everything can change in a single day. One single tweet can change everything. One single centralized exchange listing for runes changes the entire market. Literally, it's that meme of it's so over, we're so back, because everything does change on a dime, whether it's for the good or for the bad. And so, in these long periods of kind of like despair, we've been through them so many times. It just seems that, you forget about them because the wins take over so quickly and the market turns on a dime. So I just wanted to kind of put that perspective that things might seem dire, but everything can change really quickly. And this is the most product in terms of like a product landscape. This is the highest traction product landscape I've ever seen in crypto, whether it's something like Kaido or Ethos, or even Pump Fund and Polymarket, and now Odin Fund and some of these products over on Bitcoin. There's actual real tangible products on every single chain. And that's almost never been the case before. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Totally. I mean, to what Christian, I mean, that point of like the building that's happening. Totally with you, man. It's really awesome and impressive. And yeah, you just never know what's going to be the next big thing that really has real traction. And I'm sure it's being built right now.
Always, we've got some surprises too that we're
Maybe
also working on. Yeah, could be on Thursday. DeFi AI. We're going to be working on something else as well to get that out. You just keep trying. Keep chugging away. Something new that I saw today. I actually don't know much about this. So Michael Saylor announced today that they're launching, it looks like another equity of some sort called Strife, a new perpetual preferred stock offering available to institutional investors and select non-institutional investors. So pay some sort of dividend, I suppose. Chris, did you look at this, or do you understand anything about what this could be?
I just saw the headline, but I mean, it just Michael Saylor's strategy and just strategy as a company. What they're doing is they're offering Bitcoin vehicles in every single type of investment category that you can make as like a professional money manager, whether it's offering Bitcoin to the bond market or offering Bitcoin to this perpetual style right here, or just kind of refinancing their stock and buying Bitcoin for the equity market. So they're covering the bond market, they're covering the equities market. They're trying to get into all these different niche financial markets where advisors aren't able to put big, huge allotments of capital. And so all they're doing is just making Bitcoin accessible to every single person that could want to buy it on the planet. And whether they'll see massive success with this one or not, it doesn't really matter, because they're going to continue offering Bitcoin to all these different investment vehicles that it wasn't available to before. And there's different levels of money that access different markets. And so just becoming available to everyone is kind of their killer strategy. And I think it's working out really well for them.
This is like the perfect use case of like, people are like, don't diversify. this is like the perfect example of not diversifying. This is either like grand slam, greatest investment thesis of all time, or complete shit show disaster. It can only end one of those two ways. And I think, I love the bet. I mean, you're in business and you don't see what Saylor's doing, like accessing capital, is brilliant, brilliant. And it's either he's going to be, a billionaire, decabillionaire possibly, or he gets wrecked, completely wrecked. It can only go one of two ways.
That's the hero journey. That's the hero's
journey, right? That's exactly right.
Take the shot.
You gotta take.
You have to.
You have to. There's no other option. Once you went down this path, there is no other option. This is the path. And now he just shills it on the timeline endlessly. That's it. And he shills it to his bankers, and he's probably going to win, man. And it's generational. He's retired his great grandkids, man.
He's got none. He's donating all his money. Remember that? Or he's actually burning his Bitcoin, is what he said.
Yeah, he's not even. Does he even have any kids? He might not even.
No wife, no kids. No, he said he's burning his personal Bitcoin, which is like I think like 30,000 or something.
Bro, no girls, no kids, just
like a pharaoh in Egypt. The seed phrase goes with him, bro.
Yeah. Dude is one of the most insane people ever seen in the business world. Dude, he, like literally I think he is the longest standing CEO of a publicly traded company. He's been literally CEO since the 80s. Since like 89 or something like that.
Crazy.
Like, dude, 30 years between all-time highs. It's publicly traded company. Like, dude, that is like insane amount of grit. Insane amount.
But he's truly one of the greatest financiers ever in all of human history. To see that he can borrow against his company revenues and stock and replace it with harder money, Bitcoin, and then you still have that as an asset on your balance sheet, then you can basically lend against that if you need to. Even though it seems like a little bit of a daisy chain, it's actually really not, because you have the hard assets in custody and your notes that you took against your equity aren't due at all a single point in time. So you don't have a duration mismatch, which is how most people go kind of bust. And so, I mean, in terms of like being an all-time financier, he is like up there with like JP Morgan or like Rockefeller. I think that he'll be one of the greats. I think that
it's certainly one of the greatest of all time for an individual company. Like to take that company from whatever $70 million market cap to multi-deca billions. It's literally, it's certainly one of the greats of all time. Great plays.
And I mean,
we'll see if Bitcoin goes down to 5K again. It could be the worst.
What they're doing now is they're focusing on bringing all of these companies online all over the world. So you see that with MetaPlanet. That company went from 50 million to like 2 billion. It was like the single most high performance stock in the entire world last year. Yeah. And so maybe that's like signs of bubbleness, but it's also a sign that like whatever they're doing in terms of how they're financing and how they're structuring these companies is being well received by the public. And so he's changed the world in more ways than one. It's exciting to see.
For sure.
Damn. Yeah. Makes me excited. See the devs cooking.
Should we do that with Emblem? Can Emblem become a Bitcoin holding company?
Probably.
In other words, we're definitely a crypto holding company. I mean,
we definitely are. That's for sure.
I mean, one of the goals is like to have Hustle, do automated trading strategies to buy back Tensor. I think is like it, and buy back keys, I suppose. We'll see how that works, but yeah, exciting times to say the least. I think we'll wrap it up here. Tomorrow we're doing a later show at 6 p.m. Eastern time, so that we could host Seneca, who is living down in Australia. So I had to manage his time. It's going to be a good conversation. I've actually never talked to him in person. I followed him for a long time. He did say that he round tripped 8 figures in AI coins, so that'll be maybe something that maybe a sore spot that we'll have to talk to him about here. But one of the greats on the timeline who came into the NFT run, who's done well for education and investments and such. So that'll be a good conversation. And then Thursday, Hustle V2 drops.
Let's go.
We'll be doing a live show covering the platform and marketing, I suppose.
Live marketing.
Okay. Live marketing, dude.
Marketing beginning Thursday.
Live marketing.
Let's go.
To say the least. Appreciate everyone who joined us. If you're new to the show, we host a show Tuesday through Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Please follow the Emblem Vault account as well as the Agent Hustle account so that you can stay in tune with everything that we're doing. Again, Agent Hustle, the DeFi AI terminal goes live on Thursday. Emblem 2.0 also in the works. We're going to be deploying to base in Maryland here pretty soon. Having a jolly good old time, and then probably on to Solana to take some ordinals and whatever you want over to Solana. So stay in tune. We're cooking a lot, no matter whether we're up $1 billion or we're down $1 billion. We're here every day.
Every day.
Until then, have a good Tuesday, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you guys
later.